If speaking English plays any part in your work life, your social life, or your family life, then until you can speak English clearly, you're never going to perform at your best. So in this English pronunciation tutorial, I'm going to give you one tip that's going to help you uncover a really, really important point in English pronunciation that's going to get you speaking clearly and help you to come across as more professional, more influential when you speak, so that you feel more confident. It's a tip that I use a lot with my clients, as most people, even when they've got good spoken English, aren't familiar with this point. So it's a tip that's going to really, really help everyone that's already been studying my videos. And if you're new to the channel, then welcome. It's going to be really useful for you too. Let's dive in. Hello and welcome to English School Online and How to Speak English Clearly, the channel that teaches foreign professionals to speak English clearly so they have more confidence, more fun when they're speaking English, and a better quality of life. Let's dive straight in to the tutorial. So the point we're looking at today is the two sounds F as in f and V at the end of words. Now, you might be thinking, I know F, I know V, but I'm going to ask you a question. Can you pronounce both sounds clearly when they come at the end of words? Because what happens if you take two words like believe and belief is that most people, when you get the V sound at the end of a word, will pronounce it with F pronunciation. So instead of saying believe, they'll say believe. Okay? And that is wrong. And the reason why this is a really bad one to get wrong is because if you're saying belief, then it's really confusing as to what you're actually saying. Are you saying belief, as in it is a belief of mine? Or are you saying believe, as in I believe that this is true? Okay, so it can cause confusion to your listener and it can also make you sound unprofessional. Now, the V sound, most people can get it right at the start of a word, as in van, okay, or Vic, which is an English name. I'm going to start by just quickly showing you how to make both sounds so we're on the same page here. And then I'm going to give you some tips for actually getting both sounds correct, but most importantly, the V sound correct at the end of the word. So both F and V are a pair of consonants. What that means is they're essentially the same sound. The position of the mouth, the lips, is the same. The way the airflow comes out your mouth is the same. The only thing that's different is that V is voiced and F is unvoiced. So to demonstrate this, I want you to take your hand and put it on your throat and then breathe out saying F. Okay, your teeth should be touching your lip. And airflow is coming out in a turbulent fashion. Now, if you're saying F correctly, your throat, with your hand on it, should be still. There's no vibration. But with V, there's vibration. Okay? And that gives more of a vibration than between your lip and your teeth as well. You might feel a tickling sensation along here. So step one is to be able to make both of these sounds correctly. All right? That's step one. Now, step two to be aware of is when these sounds come at the front of a word, like family, or fan, or fabulous, or van, or vagabond, okay? All these words, because your lip is dropping down afterwards into the sound that comes afterwards, you end up going f, v, okay? And that's absolutely fine. But the problem is when these sounds come at the end of the word, you don't want to have that dropping sensation at the end. So you don't want to be going, if you're saying believe, believe, or if you're saying belief, belief. Okay, so that's the first thing you need to be aware of when you actually put these sounds at the end of the word. You start the sound, you make it as it's meant to be made, but you don't do the second part of the sound that you would, which is essentially a new sound, where you drop your mouth and your lips down. F, v. It is not believe, belief. Okay? So that's the first thing to be aware of. So we now know how to make both sounds. We've got our lip and our teeth touching, and we've got airflow coming out in a turbulent fashion. Okay? And also it's continuous airflow. Unlike p or b or t or d, where airflow is stopped and then it explodes out, for f, v, it's continuous. Okay? So step one is to actually be able to practice both of these sounds correctly by doing the exercises that I've just given, holding the sound, and you want to get that to the stage that feels comfortable. If you're doing it and you're going, or, okay, it's not good. So you have to focus on this fundamental before you move on, because if the fundamentals aren't correct, everything else is just going to be ingraining on a higher level bad habits. So start by getting this correct. Okay, that's the first part. The second part is then to actually get comfortable putting these into the end of words. And this is where people have the real difficulty, especially with the V sound. So if I take the word believe, believe, okay, this might feel uncomfortable in getting your lip to vibrate at the end of the word. So essentially you're saying Eve, Eve, Eve. Okay, that's another name in English, Eve, 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 or Christmas Eve, Eve, Eve. I'd practice that as a second step to actually integrating the V sound into the end of the word, because for most people they find that they can make the F sound okay at the end of the word, belief. But the problem is that they assume that when they see the V sound written at the end of the word, it's pronounced as an F. Or maybe they don't assume it, but they mistakenly pronounce it anyway. So what we need to do is get comfortable making the V sound at the end of the word. You need to be aware of it at the end of the word. So when you see it at the end of the word, you realise it's there. Believe, give, have. And then you need to be comfortable in actually making it. Okay? People tend to find this difficult, all right? So it's really worth understanding that, first of all, you can do it. You can definitely do it. Anyone can do it. But it is difficult and it might take a bit of practice, okay? But if you know and are realistic in that, okay, you might need to do a bit of practice on it, you're going to get it a lot quicker than thinking you can get it, not getting it, and then giving up, all right? We're here for long-term success. So a really useful way to actually practice getting it at the end of the word is, again, step one, being proficient with, but particular for the V sound, okay? Step two in getting the V sound at the end of the word, but the same for the F sound as well, if that is causing you difficulty, is to be able to make the end syllable. So if the F or the V sound is the last sound in that end syllable, then there's going to be another vowel sound before it. So let's take belief, okay, if. If you're practicing integrating the F sound into the end of belief, then you really need to be able to practice if. If you can't get that right, there's no point in trying to say belief, okay? Now, where it might get a little bit harder is doing that for the V sound. Eve, Eve, eve. Okay, practice that for this particular word, believe. Practice that, eve, eve, eve. All right, and then what I want you to do as part of your homework for this week's tutorial is to go out and actually look at a number of words that you use every day where the V sound is at the end of the word. Go and do some research. Think of the words that you use every day where there is a V sound at the end, and then apply the same methodology to those words too. You start with the V sound at the end. You then go to making that end syllable. So let's say we're now looking at the word give. Okay, let's take off the G sound just to make it a bit easier. Then you'd get if. Okay, and then you'd add on the G sound for give. Or if it's a completely separate syllable, as in believe, you'd then add on the L sound, leave, leave. There you go, that's another example of a word. I'm going to leave now. And then believe, believe. So with these words that are more difficult at the end of the word, always start at the very end of the word and then work back through to the front of the word as you get proficient at the back of the word. Now, here's a really useful tip that can make a big difference when you're practicing this. When you are looking at these words and you're having real difficulty with it, if you're having real difficulty with it, sometimes in linking speech, the V sound, the last sound of the word believe, would actually move in pronunciation to be the first sound of the first syllable of the next word. So if I said, I believe in you, I believe in you, in linking speech, that V sound is actually going to go forward to the next syllable. So I believe in you. And all of a sudden, the V sound has just moved to the front of the next word. So that's a massive win for actually making it easy in spoken English. I believe in you. You can use that as a hack to suddenly make it a lot easier. But don't think that you can use that and then get away with not learning it properly at the end of the word. Because if I'm saying to you, do you believe? You have to be able to respond by saying, I believe, or any other word on its own that's got the V at the end. You can't rely on moving that V to the next word as a way of getting out of learning this, okay? So I hope that helps. This is a really important tip if you want to speak good professional English clearly. There's loads of other things we can be doing to improve our English, but if you want to get to a really high level in English and be taken as a professional, be understood in everything that you're saying and not have people asking you to repeat yourself, then the V sound at the end of the word is an essential one to get. Okay, so follow the advice here. To summarize, step 1, get the F and the V sound on their own. Step 2, take the end syllable of the word and then have the V at the end and then the vowel sound before it. Eve, iv, av, okay? And then build up through the rest of the word, all right? It's as simple as that. Now you go and practice this. Find some words that you use with the V at the end in everyday speech. I guarantee there'll be words that have that V sound at the end that you don't know about in your everyday speech, and you're probably mispronouncing them, okay? So don't overlook the importance of this tutorial and of this exercise. It's really important, and it's going to make a huge difference to your English speech, okay? So thumbs up if you like this video. Go out and share it with anyone that you know that could benefit from speaking English clearly. A friend, a family member, a colleague, your partner, your boyfriend or your girlfriend, okay? And subscribe for weekly pronunciation tutorials coming out like this every week to get you speaking English clearly. Have a great week. Go and do the practice. Go for it.